Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Access Channel Comics. I'm your host, V Banks, and welcome to episode number 12. Coming at you today, and a couple of things to discuss going on in the entertainment business. One thing to start off on a kind of a sad note. We all heard about the recent passing of a legend on yesterday, the greatest of all time, and that's Mr. Muhammad Ali, who had passed away at the age of 74. And at this time, just watching, don't know a lot about his death, but just wanted to mention that and show some respect to one of the all-time greats, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. I've always felt like Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan, for example, those guys are the two most famous athletes of all time. There are a lot of them up there right in the ranks with them, but those guys are worldwide renowned, and Muhammad Ali really broke the barrier for a lot of people and a lot of athletes. He was an activist, he was a boxer, of course, an athlete, an actor, and he's done a lot of many great things in the community and all over the world. And he will be greatly missed. Even when he got older and was going through some of his complications, he still had that winning smile and that sense of humor. And I'm like this: God bless Muhammad Ali and God bless his family. I enjoyed his work, everything. You can catch tons of Muhammad Ali footage every day, all day. They're on different mediums such as YouTube, Netflix, and many others. And someone to really teach your kids about as they coming along. So I do say this, everyone, please, respect and, acknowledge the man, and also, respect and acknowledge his family at this time of grieving. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the Ali family and many other generations. He inspired and embarked out on a great journey. Started out as Cassius Clay, later became Muhammad Ali. He was actually the inspiration for the character Apollo Creed in the Rocky franchise, and many other athletes and guys, who cut some of these vicious promos in the history of things. Take The Rock, for example. There was a lot of inspiration that Muhammad Ali had right there, so he will be greatly missed, and the champ, his legacy will live on forever. So rest in peace, Muhammad Ali. And now as we move forward, today's episode is about a review of a certain new movie at the box office right now, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I went and seen the movie yesterday, and I'm going to break down a little like a review of it. So this is spoilers. So if you don't like to be spoiled, you may want to watch this video later. If you like to be spoiled, you can watch the video now. But it is open worldwide now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, the sequel to the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And what you have to remember, this is a new franchise of the Turtles. This is the Turtles. They've had a number of movies out now, but this is the current movie line that's going on right now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were out of the comic books back in 1984. They've had many great hit television series. A lot of people remember, like my generation, in 1987 when that famous television show came on. Popularity ran for a while, for many years. A toy line and more of the comic books. Popularity died down for a while. In the early 2000s, they resurfaced in a big way with the 2003 cartoon, which is my favorite version of the Turtles as far as animation. That was a great thing. These come on like the Fox box and everything. And many great things. But now to the movie franchise. The movie franchise was something that needed a reawakening. And when the movie franchise came out a couple of years ago, people knew about it, but a lot of people weren't really on it. And sometimes that happens with certain movie franchises. If you take a look in this year alone, there are so many superhero movies coming out, and they have come out so far, but a lot of attention, let's just face it, was on Batman v Superman and was on Captain America Civil War. And that's not taken away from any of the other stuff. Now, Deadpool stuff was on that, but that was people were really just looking forward to Deadpool, the marketing and everything. But if you talk about the most anticipated, that was Batman v Superman and Captain America Civil War. But we did behold that the sequel to the Turtles is coming out this year. This sequel was actually announced, I think they said 2 days or 2 weeks after when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out a couple of years ago in 2014. So they really had high hopes of the franchise, and I think it's going to pay off. We got to remember, at one time, the Ninja Turtles was the most talked about franchise in the world. It was even talked about more than some of the DC and Marvel properties. They're not even with DC and Marvel. They have done some crossovers with DC, like a current comic book they got going on with Batman right now. It's pretty cool. It's not canon, but it's a pretty cool comic book. You may want to check it out, because Ra's al Ghul and the Shredder kind of team up in that, which is very lethal. But it's great seeing Batman and the Ninja Turtles team up. But as far as this movie, focus on Out of the Shadows today. I'm going to keep it real with you, and I always like to start off and tell you whether I like the movie or not. And for the most part, I've been going with most movies I like this year. I'm always pleased. I've been very fortunate to go to a movie theater and always enjoy movies that I see. I try to choose the best ones. If I'm not interested in a movie, I'm not going to the theater to see it. I admit back in the day when I had a date, hey, if that's what she wanted to see, I'm there. Be smart, fellas. But anyway, with this movie, I really liked it. And the funny thing is, last Friday, I went to go see X-Men Apocalypse. I like that. But this Friday, I really like the Ninja Turtles. If you notice my difference between likings, if you were going to say, well, Corey, which was the best movie? X-Men Apocalypse or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows? I have to go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I'm a huge X-Men fan, huge fan of the franchise. X-Men Apocalypse I did like, but honestly, it wasn't on the level of X-Men Days of Future Past to me. And that's not a shameful thing, because X-Men Days of Future Past is something that's hard to follow up after. But the great thing about this Turtles movie was, once again, they showed what superhero movies in a way are supposed to be. Fun and entertaining. And keep up with the characters' tones. In this movie, you have 4 lead characters. 5 if you count Splinter in a way. As far as who it's really about. They get their tones, all of them, so right once again. You know, with Leonardo being the leader, Raphael being the muscle, Donatello being the brains, Michelangelo being the comedic relief. And we all know Raphael is more that darker type guy, and these guys can be dark at times. You have to get the tone of characters right. It's like if you're doing Batman, you know darkness is his tone. If you're doing Deadpool, you know rated R is his tone. And with these Turtles, they got it right. It was a script. The writing was great in this. The pacing was great. Nothing in this was rushed. They just did a phenomenal job with these characters. And this time, what's taking place is Shredder is kind of locked up. Well, he's locked up. And you kind of find out, you know, that Casey Jones, this is a different take of Casey Jones. Casey Jones is played by Stephen Amell, as many of you may know, Green Arrow / Oliver Queen from the hit TV show Arrow, DC Comics on CW. And Stephen Amell did a fantastic job. Stephen Amell is a real good actor. He keeps stepping up his game. And he dialed it back in this one, where we used to see him as Oliver Queen. He has gotten lighter as Oliver recently, in the last couple of seasons on Arrow, but I think they're going to switch it back and get him a little bit darker. But this, he's not as nowhere near dark as Oliver. He's a little bit more playful, but when it comes to put on a hockey mask, he's there. This is a different take of Casey. I don't think he's as dark as the Casey Jones was in the old Ninja Turtles movies. And if you remember Chris Evans' voice from TMNT, Chris Evans, Casey Jones was kind of a little bit of a goofy Casey Jones, but not too over goofy. But Stephen Amell's Casey Jones is a guy kind of looked at down on his luck, a loser. He blew opportunities, a little bit of a comedian, but when he does certain things, you be like, that's Casey Jones. So I really enjoyed his performance as Casey Jones. And Megan Fox as April O'Neil. I actually enjoyed her in this movie. Megan Fox, let's be honest, she's nowhere near the best actress in the world. But she's an actress, and I respect her for that. But she has really come in the zone in this role. And I think this was good for her, because we got to remember, one time her career was near about over. But getting this franchise really, I think, has helped out a lot. And I liked her character this time around even better than I did in the first one. She did things that made more sense in this one. And of course, you know, with Leo, Ralphie, Mikey, Leo, Ralph, Mikey, and Donnie, what can I say? Those guys knocked out the ballpark again. When the movie opened up, it was incredible seeing them do what they do best. That's living and breathing the night air in New York City. You know, they were out there, and, you know, they couldn't really go in and mix with the crowd. At this point, it's a year later after the first Turtles, and they saved the city. We saw that. But, of course, in the mythology, they really don't get the credit for saving the city. And this Vern got the credit because, you know, they had made a deal. And, you know, you can tell it bothered the Turtles because they should get the credit. But Splinter has taught them to be patient. And, you know, it was pretty cool seeing them get the pizza. And the pizza guy was there. Pizza guy didn't care what it looked like. As long as he got paid, he had it on the scanner and stuff. And this is a day and time, you know, in the old Ninja Turtles movies, if that scene would have happened when Mikey would have said, see you tomorrow or next week, they would have dropped him some cash. But this, they could scan the price thing and bam, the dude gets paid technology. So they did a good job of putting this in the modern day world for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they were at the Knicks game, watching the ball game and everything, and they was enjoying themselves. And they did some real good comedy moments, Vern getting the interview, but they had this like little spit thing and hitting him with it. He didn't know where it was coming from. But Mikey was eating a pizza. He was enjoying himself. The rest of the boys was into the game, enjoying the atmosphere. Mikey's eating the pizza and then dropped and fell on the court, and all of them was like, so they had to disappear and everything. And so they had some on the court, they're falling and everything, and pretty good highlights. And so that was the cool thing about the Turtles. And right there, already from the movie, I enjoyed it because I said they nailed it. They got the mythology of the Turtles in this hands down. They know they can't be seen in public. But then they went on the way back home. There was like a night parade going on. And it was Halloween. They said, Mikey said, it's the one time a year we do fit in. And they was like, nah, Leo was like, we got to get back to the lair. And Raphael was like, come on. But Michelangelo came up out the sewer, and he really did fit in. It was a beautiful scene, and it was pretty cool. You see this car running up, and here's a head nod from one universe to another. You see this guy transform up out the car, and he looks at Mikey and say, "Cool costume," and the guy was dressed as Bumblebee. And I was thinking right there, imagine that Bumblebee, two probably the most belovable, especially with the kids' characters of these franchises. Bumblebee and Michelangelo, they gave each other a high five. It wasn't Bumblebee, but the guy dressed as Bumblebee. So imagine what was happening. So the guy transformed and rolled back away. It was great. So those were some great touching moments. They did so many things in this movie to show respect to the mythology of the Ninja Turtles, such as the turtle, the sewer type van thing when Shredder was getting broken out of prison. Because at this time, Casey Jones was working in the department. And you had Bebop and Rocksteady. And Rocksteady was played by Sheamus of the WWE. And Sheamus did a very good job. He was really natural on film. He wasn't playing the Sheamus character. He was kind of playing a goofy light, but he did a wonderful job. And so throughout the movie, it was just great. Like when the Turtles were driving the van, and you hear the horn, dun 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 dun. That was like some of the old Turtles theme song. They just did such a wonderful job with this. And Shredder and his crew was very lethal in this one. I think it was a different actor playing Shredder this time. And I want to say it was a different actress playing Karai also. I don't know if this actress was actually Karai, but she was very good, very adorable in a sexy, mean type of way. So the crew, I really like how they mapped out the bad guys. They really had the city pretty much nearly on lock in every destination. And the Turtles was the only way they can get out of this. Krang made an appearance, and Krang was really tough. I really like the design they had for Krang. They did it in a realistic way, show respect to the old series, him and Shredder butting heads, without it being goofy and comedy like it was back in the 80s. At that time, it was fine, but you don't really want to put that in the movie now. And it reminded me of those good old times when the late, great James Avery from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Uncle Phil, he voiced Shredder back in the day, so it was pretty cool. But they had this new Neutrogen, and it turned humans, Bebop and Rocksteady, to Rocksteady and Bebop, the ones we know. And they did a fantastic job with these guys' looks and them portraying the characters. They really reminded me of the old animated series. But Donnie found out that if this could change humans, it's kind of like an X-Men thing, change humans to animals, it could change animals and humans. And so the Turtles actually could become humans. So there was this huge debate. And Leo wasn't really down for that. Leo's like this: we don't need a cure. We are Turtles. We should be honored and proud of who we are. And I really felt Leo on that. But Donnie was like, he understood, he respects Leo, but Leo was like, you can't tell others about this. And so that was a tough thing. And Mikey heard it, and he told Ralph, and of course the classic Leo and Ralph butting heads. But it's like Master Splinter. I like Splinter's role even more in this one. It was great to see him in the first one, a lot of action scenes, but Splinter was more dialed back in this one because Splinter doesn't have to always have a lot of big scenes. It's just that what he does makes sense so much. And when he tells Leo, that's the great thing about this team, you don't want them to think all the same. I really like how they share those Leonardo and Splinter moments, because that's the connection they have. The father and the son, Leo being the leader in the field. That's something I want them to do more in the movies, because they did a fantastic job with that back in the 2000 series. It started in 2003. But I must say with this movie, it just has a lot of great things. You just have to see for yourself. I could talk about it all day, but it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. The action was on point. The storyline was on point. It was fun. It wasn't taking itself too seriously. And I think that's what a lot of superhero movies need, unless it calls for different types of things. I mean, you don't expect for Raphael to be acting like Michelangelo, so they play that right. Unless it calls for darkness and everything like that, that's the type of things you need in a comic book movie. So, looking at this movie, and Laura Linney was in the movie. She did a fantastic job. She was really kind of working the nerves of a lot of people, but she did a fantastic job and everything. And the movie wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. It was great to see the Turtles. It was a sentimental moment where it was tough because they got looked at as the villains by the officers. The officers were freaked. And I'm sitting thinking like, well, these guys saved the city. If you seen us last time, why you guys so freaked? But I came back to my recollection. They don't know the Turtles are the ones that actually did it. But the thing about it is they don't believe it when they see it, but you got to remember what happened in the last movie. Where were you guys at? All this crazy stuff happened. So, but this was even greater because it was so sentimental. Because when they called these guys monsters, Leo just looked his head down. Being the oldest brother, Leo didn't like that. But he wanted to set an example for his brothers. Ralph was pretty hot about that, but Ralph's like, we can't catch a break. Donnie was looking like, wow, you guys called us monsters. But Mikey was the one who got choked up, because Mikey started crying. And if you see Michelangelo crying, you know something's wrong. Keep in mind, Mikey is like a kid at heart. That's why he's so beloved. Like Bumblebee in Transformers, he's beloved. And so, they wound up later, the cops understood where they come from, because Casey, and all the stuff that Casey and April and Vern went through to help out, they really understand. And Vern wound up telling them, these are the guys who really did. And Vern said, of course, obviously I'm the Falcon, but he called himself the Falcon. He had the key to the city. But those keys deserved to the Ninja Turtles. And so it's like Splinter told them, your childhood has really come to an end. You're becoming men now. And when it came to the point where they could have took that nitrogen and become human, Splinter said, the choice is yours. This is your decision. And Leo was like, guys, I do whatever you want me to do. And he handed it to Ralph, and Ralph looked at it, and Ralph threw it against the wall. And I'm like, that's good for you, Ralph, because you guys are turtles. You're not humans. Why should you change who you are? It's the same thing if you're a human being. Any human being got the right to go to work in a place or do this. It shouldn't be discounted. And that's the thing that makes the Ninja Turtles one of the greatest teams ever. They had what a lot of teams are lacking. So the officers meet with them in the alley. Laura Linney's characters asked April, "Are you sure they're coming?" She said, "They're coming." They came out the sewer. It was a great monumental moment. And they were looking, and they understood it was on side. It took me back to the Avengers in a way, because Leo, they was giving strategies. How Donnie was working the thing, the cops were following, listening to him. I said, "This is great." It was finally great to see the Ninja Turtles getting a payoff with human beings, where humans weren't freaked out with them. Leo will remind me of the Avengers when Captain America was given in the streets of New York, giving the orders. Leo was running down the space and giving the orders too. And Laura Linney's character looked at him like, wow. She was looking at this guy like, not that like, why should this guy's like, this guy really is a great strategist. He's a leader. And we got to remember, Leonardo is one of the greatest leaders in any fiction story of all time. So that's why he was chosen as field leader. And he's the oldest brother. And so they went and got to work and battling Krang. I like the fact that they made Krang so tough, but the only disappointment, I wanted Shredder to have some more play, because Shredder finally put on the mask, and I loved his costume. In the last Ninja Turtle movie, it was cool, but it reminded me a lot of Silver Samurai. It was very bulky, which was understandable, but this one, he had of course, the Shredder type of Wolverine type things, but he had like a sleek black suit. And when he put on the mask, they just set off. It looked cool. And I really wanted to see him in more in action, but Krang betrayed him, froze him, like he had in old times. But I think it's a next good setup for the next one. I'm assuming they're going to do a next one. I would like to see them do tons of these Ninja Turtle movies. They may finish it off with a trilogy, but we'll see. And so Turtles battle Krang, and they went at it. And it was a great moment. And they really battled out. Some of the best scenes in this movie was like the airplane scene when it was coming down and everything like that. Those were some great scenes. The battle in the water where they were the Turtles were battling Rocksteady and Bebop to get the where they started battling on the freighter and got in the water to get the case. That was great, but it just was really great because Raphael is huge. These guys even just as bigger, but Ralph is real tough. Ralph picked one of them up over his head and threw him. I mean, it was just so great. So it took me back to the old classics and everything. But I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I would advise, to go see it. Take your kids to see it. So it's one of those superhero movies, one of those movies, period, you can take your children to go see. You don't have to worry about anything vulgar. It has some moments where you teach kids, don't do that or don't do that out loud. But it's great. It's nothing vulgar about it, no sexist stuff, and it's a great movie. I'm going to rank the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. I enjoyed the movie so much, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 5. It's not a perfect movie. No movie is. But this movie is definitely leaning towards a 9 for me. This movie was just that good for me. It kind of makes you want to whip out some of the old Turtle stuff you have again. If you have any of the old cartoons on Blu-ray and DVD, even on VHS if you still got that. Even I still got some of that. It really took it back to that. And I really enjoyed it. It kind of makes you want to watch some of the old Ninja Turtle movies and bring it up to where it is now. And I do plan on going back to see it again. Sometimes I like going back to seeing a movie again, especially when I enjoyed it, because I can catch things I may didn't catch the first time. But I enjoyed this movie, and that was kind of like my review of it. So go check it out for yourself. It's open worldwide now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. These are superhero comic book icons. They are not on DC Comics label. They are not on Marvel Comics label. But guess what? They deserve to be right up there as far as mentions with DC and Marvel, because the Ninja Turtles was one of the biggest iconic groups of all time, and for a long time in our lives, that's all we heard about was Ninja Turtles. And that was a great thing, and it's great to get to see them have another rendition of these turtles. And now they got these hit live action movies going on, so I want to see further where it's going to go. And that's what I wanted to talk about on the show today. As many of you also know, the trailer dropped for the upcoming Blu-ray release of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. What do I think about the trailer? When I saw it, I actually liked the trailer I saw. I saw a lot of scenes I saw in the movie, but I saw a couple of scenes while I was looking at the trailer. I was like, wow. I can understand they had to cut some scenes, but I think they cut the wrong scenes. It showed gentlemen loans were not scenes, but one of the definitive scenes I loved in this trailer is when the black gentleman is talking to Clark Kent. When he holds up the lottery card with the bat symbol up there, he tells Clark, Batman wasn't always like this. He's got more ruthless now. And Clark, what I loved about the scene, Clark had his investigative gear on, glasses. Clark went out on his own to investigate the story. That's who really Clark Kent is. That's what makes Superman a great character. Everybody knows Batman is the world's greatest detective. But Clark Kent is a detective in his way himself. He's a reporter. That's what he does. That's what reporters do. A Superman animated series back in the 90s, like I mentioned before, I loved how Bruce Timm and that crew really had Clark Kent at times go out and do some investigating. And I wish they would have left that in the movie, the theatrical cut. I really hope when the Blu-ray comes out, it's a Blu-ray, DVD, digital download. The digital download is going to be available maybe a week or two before the Blu-ray comes out. But you can catch it on YouTube, the commercial, the trailer. But I want this release to really can help with kind of change people's minds about the movie. It's just to the point, looking back in theater, this was supposed to be in a historical moment, especially for DC Comics to shine with these characters. But hey, who knows? A lot of times, if we go back and look at the history of things, Daredevil director's cut, Watchmen director's cut, the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, some of those movies were good before the theatrical release, but the actual re-releasing of the director's cut and the extended editions were even better, like Kingdom of Heaven. So who knows? Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice may be that way also. I hope so. It can fill in a lot of the blanks, stuff that we were missing. But I look forward to it anyway. Definitely going to my collection. Hey, a lot of these movies going into my collection once they're out to release and own and everything. I don't necessarily have to buy movies as much as I used to because I can stream and do some downloading at times. But of course, when I say downloading, I do downloading the right way, the legitimate way and everything. So, but I still like to have a physical collection. Sometimes I just say, hey, I have it, and remember years from now what you can say, now some of the things that you got. But anyway, that's all my show for today on Access Channel Comics. I appreciate you tuning in. Put your comments at the bottom if you have any. Click that subscribe button. I want to keep this show going, and I want to keep enjoying it. Remember, every Tuesday and Saturday episodes are loaded up for Access Channel Comics. If there is a change, I will apologize before or after that. And like I said, click the subscribe button. Remember, and Access Channel comments. There are many, there are few, but there are none like you. Go out and enjoy the movies, enjoy some time with your family and everything, enjoy the weekend, and highlight the end things. Peace.